see, I'm actually in the house today because, yes, last time I showed you how to stretch the horses out, and this time I'm going to show you how I stretch. This is my own personal stretching routine that I try to do pretty much every day. I usually do it sometime in the evening, like before bed. I do try to make sure I'm not cold when I do it. Like I don't try to, I try not to get up off the couch and stretch. I try to have done something beforehand, even if it's just like walking around the house or something, to make sure I'm not like completely, my muscles aren't completely cold. I actually just got off from riding, and so here we go. So I like to start from the bottom and work my way up, depending on how I'm, if it's like a standing stretch or a sitting stretch or whatever. And what else? Well, I'll get started, but I'm not going to do all the stretches for the full amount of time because it would be a pretty long video. So I do each stretch for about 20 seconds. Always get both sides and all of that. So the first stretch that I like to do is calf stretch. I do this against the wall. With my toes against the wall, and then I just kind of lean forward until I can feel a nice big stretch in that calf. Like with everything, form's pretty important. You want to make sure that you're straight, that you're not like sticking your butt out or anything, because that'll that'll strain the lower back. The next one I do the quads. So this is also a good balance exercise, just to pick up one foot. Again, I try to keep my lower back flat while doing this. And then a lot of my stretches are good old yoga poses. So I like to do a nice forward fold. Just let the head hang, which is a little bit difficult. You find yourself wanting to hold this part of your neck up, but just let it hang. And then to do a nice wide-legged forward fold. My goal is to someday be able to do a split. I have that goal every once in a while, and I work really hard at it for a while, and I never seem to attain it. After the wide-legged forward fold, I bring my feet back in, and I do a nice squat. This is just a good one to do because for anybody that works sitting at a desk, this is a good pose to do. You'll probably notice through all of these that I tend to focus a lot on my back and on my hamstrings, because those are the tightest parts of my body for me. Hamstrings, hips, back, and they're all connected. So I usually try to, when I stretch out my hamstring, you definitely want to face your foot. Don't just kind of do it like this. You want to face, your body facing your foot, and kind of reach up and over. Don't just like collapse into it. Reach up and over, and keep your back a little bit straight, and you'll feel the stretch in here too, as well as here. So again, face your foot, up and over. And I try to do one in the middle. As you can see, I'm not very flexible this way. Oh gosh. Nice butterfly stretch. Now this I don't feel much when I'm just sitting like this, so I have to lean forward into it a little bit. And again, I like to keep my back straight. Don't just like, and then this is one of my favorite stretches, and it's also one of the hardest. I first learned it in yoga as fire logs. I've also heard it called double pigeon. But the trick to this one is keeping your feet flexed. Because if you just do this, you don't feel it as well. You need to keep your feet flexed. And you'll feel it right here. It's an amazing, amazing hip stretch. And I've gotten a lot better at this. I used to be back here. Now I can actually sit up straight. And then this is a nice twist. Then I get into the twists. I do kind of a bunch of them all at once. And this helps. This is really the only thing. I have a lot of mid-back discomfort, I'd say. Not necessarily pain, but discomfort from like pushing the wheelbarrow and riding and stuff. So these twists are really good for stretching that out. And again, you don't want to just like collapse into it. You need to be up straight. You can do that twist. I mean, that's good for like a glute stretch as well, but you can do that twist just sitting cross-legged. Again, keeping your body straight, keeping your back straight, not just, shoulders back. And again, another twist. This one I like to start with my lower back flat against the, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but my back flat against the floor, twist over and then look in the other direction, and you'll feel this in your glute as well as your back. These are great stretches for your back and your butt. So after I get through that, do a nice deep stretch to stretch the abs. And then when I'm in the child's pose, I like to just breathe deeply into my back, and it's, again, a nice back stretch. When I come up from that, I make sure I flex my feet. And then I stand back up for the rest of the upper body stuff, which the first one I have to do in the doorway. So I'll you can do this one a couple of different ways. I like to do it in the doorway. So that gets both arms at once. Hi, Mary. Make a better door than you do a window, cat. Again, you want to make sure that you can put 1 foot forward, and that helps to not put any pressure on the lower back. But you can do that one against the wall like this, or you can have a friend, behind you kind of pulling your arms back. You can do it a couple different ways. And then I do a lot of stretching of my neck muscles, because I have some jaw issues, and I think a lot of it is stemming from tension in my neck and my shoulders. So I start with, I think it's called like eagle arms or something. This, and that gets right along the shoulder blade, right here. And I do that in both sides. You could do it like this as well, but I find it doesn't quite get the same spot, and it's not as good of a stretch. It's more in here, and I'm not as tight in there. So this one's really good for getting right along the shoulder blades, both sides. And then head down, that gets right here. It's good for if you have tension in, these are the occipital muscles, tension back in here. So I do both this, and then I turn my head slightly, and that gets a little bit more down into the front, as opposed to just straight down the back, so I do that both sides. And then one arm behind my back, head to the side, that gets right along. This is a nice stretch, right? This big muscle here that goes down along the side of your neck. And then again, I tilt my head up, and then it gets a little bit more into the front. So to the side, up, and that gets more to the front. And then I do just a straight arms back, head tilted back, and that gets this big muscle that goes down, that's right underneath your jaw. And you can also stretch the front, stretch your across the front of your shoulders by pulling your arms back. So that pretty much is all the stretching that I do, in a nutshell. And I'm not a personal trainer or anything, though I do hope to perhaps do that at some point, get that certification. But right now, that is just what I personally do. Obviously, I have to make the caveat that everybody has to make. If you want to start an exercise regimen or anything like that, check with your doctor first, of course. But stretching is pretty safe. It's hard to injure yourself stretching, though I suppose I have heard of it happening. But again, like if you keep your proper form, if you keep everything aligned, you shouldn't really have a problem. So I hope that was informative, and I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please hit subscribe, and have a good one.